Hey Facebook friends, it's Lindsay. Welcome to another Facebook Live. Here we are, Thoughtful Thursday. I think I might call it that today. Really thrilled as always to jump on and kind of have a chat with you here today. And I've got to say that doing these Facebook Lives as part of the 14-day challenge has just helped to hold me accountable to kind of processing more of what comes up for me during the course of the day. And I hope that as I share, it's of value and useful for you in some way. Katrina, Janice, Jackie, thanks so much for jumping on. It's always lovely when you do a Facebook Live to see that there are some peeps out there tuning in, so I don't feel like I'm just chatting to myself out in Facebook land. So really appreciate you being here and sharing this space. Hey, Susan. How are you, lovely lady? Really nice to see you here as well. So today I want to talk a little bit about taking responsibility. And how do we know if we're actually taking responsibility for where we are in our life? So maybe like me and you, there have been times in life where we've found ourselves in a place in life that we don't really want to be. Maybe that's in our business, maybe that's in our personal life. Hey, Elise, how are you, lovely lady? Love your son's horse, by the way. Just awesome. I think I'm going to have to come and drop in for maybe a cup of tea and a little pat and a catch up. If you'll have me, I would love to do that. So sometimes there are times in life where we might feel that we're not where we'd like to be, and taking responsibility for where we are can sometimes be tough. And I heard about this model that helps us to understand if we are taking responsibility. Hey, Janice. And this was actually from, I'm just trying to think who shared this. Jack Canfield. Jack Canfield is the guy that shared this, if my memory serves me right. And it's all about, oh, yay, Elise, whoop, whoop. I'm heading off to NZ next week, and let's touch base, gorgeous girl, because I would love to come and visit you. That is a yes from me and a yes from you. So is that two yeses? We'll just go with that, hey? So Jack Canfield, I digress. Back to Jack Canfield and this model that he created a long time ago, and you may have heard of it before, but it's something I continually bring myself back to when I was reminded of it by a dear friend of mine, Celine, and she's just an amazing woman, and together we're on a growth journey, as all of us are together. Hey, Brad. And this model is particularly good if you're in a phase in life and you're not happy where you're at and you're wanting to make some things, some changes, and you're wanting to evolve and grow. So it basically is all about, are you playing above or below the line? So give me a thumbs up, pop a comment down below if you've heard about this before. Share some love if you've heard about this idea of playing above or below the line before. And Jack Canfield talks about above or below the line being, are you leaning into shame, blame, and justify? So I wanted to talk about those three things. Hey, Nadia. Hey, Kim. I wanted to talk about those three things a little bit today, because whenever I find myself stuck, whenever I find myself in a position where I'm not where I want to be, I take a moment to reflect on, am I playing above the line or below the line? Now, above the line is taking full responsibility. Below the line is when we go into that place of blame, shame, and justify. And what's really interesting is when struggle or challenge hits, hey, Pina, when challenge or struggle hits, very often what happens is we tend to take on one of those positions of blame, shame, or justify if we're falling below the line. And I'm just curious, I'm going to talk through them a little bit just now. And then I'm really curious to see, do you identify a position that you take up? Now, maybe you're familiar with this model already. And if you are, just type in the comment section below what you know to be true about where you tend to go if you're not taking full responsibility. And I've got to say that I'd like to be able to tell you that I play above the line always taking 100% responsibility. But I got to tell you, if I'm hungry, if I'm hormonal, and if I'm tired, then chances are there's a little blame, shame, and justify can creep in. And I'll own it, and I'll accept that. And because I own and accept it, there's not a lot of angst associated with that, because I know there are times where I do play below the line. I don't stay there, but I definitely go there, especially if I'm hungry, if I'm tired, and if I'm hormonal. So Let's talk a little bit about blame. So sometimes when we find ourselves in a position where we don't want to be, it's really easy to look outside of ourselves and start blaming people, places, or things for our circumstance, for where we are, or for our experience of what we're having. And when we start to point outwardly and we fail to take responsibility for the part that we can play, now it's not to say that someone else didn't play a part somewhere, but the goal here is to take 100% responsibility for any part you've played in it. And what I love is when we reach a challenging point, when we take 100% responsibility for the part we've played, it's so much easier to move on, because we can make some shifts and changes when we give ourselves permission to see what's truly going on. So think about when the shit's hitting the fan, excuse my French, but if it's hitting the fan for you somewhere in life, do you have a tendency when going below the line, in one of those moments where you play below the line, do you have a tendency to go into the place of blame? Now, again, just not beating yourself up over this, but just, kind of observing and checking in with yourself. When was the last time something didn't go well, and did you go into complete responsibility for the part you played, how you contributed to that going on, or did you go into that space of blaming people, places, and things for how you're feeling and what's happening? So that's the first thing. The second thing is shame. Now, shame, hey Kerry, shame is really interesting, because sometimes what can happen is we begin to shame others for how we're feeling or the situation we're in. That's one aspect of shame. Pulling people down, making people wrong, that type of thing. The other thing that can sometimes happen is we shame ourselves, and we shame ourselves by beating up on ourselves, by being overly critical of ourselves, for speaking poorly of ourselves, both to ourselves and to others. So we shame ourselves for being where we are, or we shame others for being where we are. So blame, outwardly focused again. Shame, sometimes we turn that inwardly and we beat ourselves up, or we start shaming others around us. And as I'm kind of, sharing this with you now, if you want to pop a comment, if any of this is resonating with you, if you identify that sometimes when things aren't working well, when a challenge pops up, when stuff's not going well for you, if you notice, do you have a tendency to blame? Do you have a tendency to shame? Now, again, this might not be where you go all the time, because chances are, if you're tuning into this video, there are times like me where you do play well and truly above the line, taking 100% responsibility. But I've come to appreciate that when everything's going well, it's okay. It's easy to play above the line. But when things are going pear-shaped, and especially if they're coming at you thick and fast, it's really easy to go below the line. And as I shared a moment ago, it's not about shaming yourself if you find yourself there. But for me, I pat myself on the back and go, good job, girlfriend, for noticing that this is where you are. And I love on myself and raise myself up to play above the line, so I'm not beating myself. Hey, Tasha, great to see you here. Hey, Catherine, lovely to see you here. So is shame a place that you go to? The other place that we can sometimes go to is justify. Now, I can own justify. So blame and shame usually are not my two go-tos when I go below the line. Justify is big for me. So if I'm hungry, if I'm tired, if I'm hormonal, or frankly, if I'm just feeling a little exacerbated by the chaos around me, or if I'm feeling exacerbated by the amount I have on my plate. Yeah, Catherine, I hear you. If I'm feeling exacerbated, if I'm feeling, I'm going to use the O word. Now, I might come and do another video on the O word, which is overwhelm. It's not a favorite word of mine, but I'm going to play it out here and say that if I find myself in that space, I can go to that place of justifying. What justifying means is we're basically making excuses and things like, look, I really would have got it done, but, do you know, I had the best of intentions, but, and I find but comes up in the conversations both with myself and if I'm having conversations with others if justify is happening. Whereas responsibility looks like, hey, you know, I had great intentions to do that thing, but I got to tell you, I allowed other things to get in my way. For example, hey, Elise, yeah, totally, I get you, darling. Not as much, but definitely blame and shame. Yeah, totally, right? We do this stuff. Catherine, justification, I know. And it's really interesting because what you'll notice is you have a place that you go to. It's either blame, shame, or justify. And as I say, you know, if, for example, I've said to someone that I'll do something and for whatever reason, I haven't done that thing I said I'd do, justify is a place that I can go to. And so I'm often reminding myself to take responsibility. Was it either that I didn't give myself enough time in my timeline? Did I not consider what needed to happen to make that happen? Hey, Casey. Hey, Sarah. Was it that I didn't prioritize things and therefore I didn't get the job done? Was it that I said yes to too many projects, and because I said yes to too many things, I was unable to follow through on other things I'd previously said in a timely manner? So justification for me can often be that I've bitten off more than I can chew. And so taking 100% responsibility is that moment where you get honest with yourself and you say to yourself and to the other, perhaps who's been impacted by your failure to deliver, something like, do you know what? My intention was to get that done for you, but I took on more than I can cope with. I apologize, and I haven't completed it because of that. That's a much better response than, hey, look, you know, I had so much on, and do you know, I just wasn't able to get to it. And what I've come to appreciate is when we own the space that we go to and we step above the line and we go into that place of responsibility, 100% responsibility. What happens when we do that is I've noticed self-respect rises. Not respecting our time and organization. Yeah, totally. I get you, Catherine. That's a biggie for me because I have a big heart to serve. And sometimes I'll say yes to more things than I can physically do in a particular period of time. So I'm a constant work in progress with that. So, hey, Helen, how are you? So this is something that, as I say, I wanted to bring attention to today. It's something that I've been looking at for myself on a regular basis as well. So over the last couple of weeks, I've really been looking at, you know, taking 100% responsibility for various situations that I've found myself in the last couple of weeks. And so when we do that, we build upon, hey, Helen, we build on our self-respect by taking 100% responsibility versus falling below the line to either blaming others, people, places, or things, or shaming yourself or others, or justifying why you're not where you want to be. So this is, you know, this is something that I found useful. As I say, the body of work from Memories through Jack Canfield, and it's one that has served me really, really well, especially in those times where things are not going well, and those times where I'm struggling a little bit. And when you want to go back to self-respect, when you want to build the esteem you have for yourself, when you want to feel good in who you are, playing above the line in 100% responsibility certainly helps to achieve that. So that's what I wanted to share with you in today's live. Now, I've shared with you a few times over the coming weeks that I do have a private Facebook group. It's called Evolve with Lindsay. If you're wanting to come join that, you are most welcome to do so. And I'll tell you up front, I don't have all the answers, baby. I absolutely don't. I am a constant and forever work in progress. What I do think, though, is that when we come together collectively and we join hands and hearts, we can hold a space for one another to grow and evolve with grace, with dignity, and in a safe space. So I've been popping on and doing these Facebook Lives every day now. I think I'm up to about day 10, and I'll continue to do so for another few days. And then I'll be going live in my Facebook group every day and on my timeline here just a couple of times a week, because I really want to pour into this beautiful community that's being built in this Facebook group. So if you want to join that, Evolve with Lindsay, you can just do a search in Facebook or scoot me out a private message, and I'll happily share that with you as well. Build community that is supporting totally. And when you're supported and when you're surrounded by people who are on a journey of becoming the best version of themselves alongside you, we can lift each other up in our times where our crown falls majorly or even just a little. We can cheer each other on when we're having some great wins and just all together hold a space for us to become our best selves. So wherever you are, I hope you are having an incredible night. I'll look forward to jumping on and sharing some more with you tomorrow. Not quite sure what tomorrow will bring, but I'm sure there will be something that I feel called to share with you tomorrow. So have an amazing night. I look forward to seeing you in the Facebook group. And until then, have fun and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.